The Sufi Message of Hazrat Inayat Khan, Volume 2, The Mysticism of Sound, Centennial Edition. The Music of the Spheres 2. There are many in this world who look after wonders. If one only noticed how much there is in this world, which is all phenomena. The deeper one sees in life, the wider life opens itself, and every moment of one's life then becomes full of wonders and full of splendor. Coming to the subject of the music of the spheres, of which I am to speak to you this evening, I should like to say that in every language, what we call music is only a miniature of what is behind all this, and which has been the source and origin of this nature. It is therefore that the wise of all ages have considered music to be a sacred art. For in music, the seer can see the picture of the whole universe, and the wise can interpret the secret and the nature of the working of the whole universe in the realm of music. This idea is not a new idea, and at the same time, it is always new. Nothing is as old as the truth, and nothing is as new as the truth. Human desire to search for something traditional, for something original, and human desire to satisfy the need for something new, all these tendencies can be satisfied in the knowledge of truth. In all the religions, for instance, in the Vedas of the Hindus, one reads Nada Brahma, sound being the creator. In the writings of the wise of the ancient India, one also reads first songs, then Vedas or wisdom. When you come to the idea that we read in the Bible, we find that first was the Word, and the Word was God. When we come to the Quran, we read Kun, Fayakun. The Word was pronounced, and all that is created was manifest. This shows that the origin of the whole creation is the sound. No doubt in the way that the word is used in our everyday language, there is a limitation of that sound which is suggested by these scriptures. The language is made of comparative objects, and that which cannot be compared has no name. Truth is that which can never be spoken, and what the wise of all ages have spoken is that which they have realized and tried to express a little, as best they could. There is a verse in Persian language, the verse of Hafiz, who says that there is a tradition in the Orient that, when God commanded the soul to enter the human body, which is made of clay, the soul refused. And then angels were asked to sing, and on hearing the angels sing, the soul entered the body, which it had feared to be a prison. It is a philosophy which is poetically expressed in this story, and the remark of Hafiz is that people say that on hearing the song, the soul entered the body. But in reality, the soul itself was a song. As far as modern science can reach, those who have probed the depth of material science do not deny the fact that the origin of the whole creation is in the movement, in other words, in the vibrations. And it is this origin state of the existence of life which is called, in the tradition of the old, sound, or the word. The first manifestation of this sound is therefore audible, the next manifestation visible. But what I mean in the form of expression of life is that life has expressed itself first as sound, next as light. And this argument is supported by the Bible, when it is said, first was the Word, and then came light. Again, one finds in a surah of the Quran, Allahu nur as samarwati wa al ardi, which means, God is the light of heaven and of the earth. The nature of creation is the doubling of one. And it is this doubling aspect which is the cause of all duality in life. And this double nature represents one part positive and the other negative, one expressive, the other responsive. And therefore, spirit and nature in this creation of duality stand face to face. And there is the first aspect which I have called sound, and the next which I have called light. In nature, which is face to face with the spirit, what is first expressed is the light, or what one first responds to is the light, and what next one responds to, or what touches one deeper, is the sound. The human body is a vehicle of the spirit, a finished vehicle which experiences all different aspects of creation, which does not mean that all other forms and names which exist in this world, some as objects, others as creatures, are not respondent to this expression of the spirit. Really speaking, every object is respondent to the spirit and the work of the spirit, which is active in all aspects, in all names and forms of this universe. One reads in the great work of the Persian poet and mystic Mevlana Rumi that the earth, the water, the fire, and the air, before humanity they are objects, but before God they are as living beings. They work at God's command, as one understands living beings working under the command of one's master. If the whole creation can be well explained, it is the different phases of the sound, or of vibration, which have manifested in their different grades and all their different forms in life. If the whole creation can be explained, the different objects and different names and forms are but the expression of vibrations manifested in different aspects. Even all that what we call matter, or all that we call substantial, and all that does not seem to speak or sound, it is all in reality vibration. And the beauty of the whole creation is this, that the creation has worked in two ways. In one way, it is expressed, and in the other way, it has made itself a mold to respond. For instance, there is a substance, matter, to touch, and there is a sense to feel touch. There is a sound, and at the same time, there is a hearing by which one can hear sound. There is light, there is form, there is colors, and at the same time, there are eyes to see them. And what we call beauty is the harmony of all that one experiences. And what, after all, is music? What we call music is the harmony of the audible notes. In reality, there is a music in color. There is music in lines. There is a music in the forest, where there is a variety in trees and plants, and how they correspond with each other. The wider one observes nature, the more it appeals to one's soul. Why? Because there is music there. And to the extent one sees deeper into life, and one observes wider into life, the more and more one can hear the music which answers the whole universe. But to those whose hearts are open, they need not go as far as the forest. In the midst of the crowd, they can find music at this time. When human ideas are so changed owing to materialism that there is no distinction of personality. But if one only studies human nature, then a piano of 1,000 octaves even cannot reproduce the variety that human nature can represent. How people agree with one another, how they disagree. Some become friends after a contact of one moment, and some, in thousands of years, cannot become friends. If one could only see to what pitch the different souls are tuned, what octave different people speak, what standard different people have, one would see that each one represents a different note. Sometimes there are two people who disagree, and there is a third person, and all unite together. Is it not the nature of music? The more one studies the harmony of music and then studies human nature, how they agree and how they disagree, how there is attraction and repulsion, the more one will see that all is music. But now there is another question to be understood, that what generally one knows is the world that one sees around oneself. Very few in the world trouble to think that there is something besides what one realizes around oneself. To many, it is a story when they hear that there are two worlds. But if one look deep within oneself, it is not only two worlds, it is so many worlds that it is beyond expression. That part of one's being which is open and receptive is mostly closed and average people. What they know is expressing outwardly and receiving from the same sphere what they can receive coming from themselves. For instance, the difference between a simple person and a thinking person who understands deeply is that when the simple person has received the word only in the ears, the thinking person has received the same word as far as that thinking person's mind. Well, therefore, the same word has reached the ears of one and the heart of another. And at the same time, this one whose ears the word touched has only seen the word, but the one whose heart the word has touched has seen still deeper. If this simple example is true and reasonable, it can be that one person lives only in this external world, another person lives in two worlds, and a third lives in many worlds at the same time. When a person says, "Where are those worlds?" I do not know. Are they above the sky or beneath the earth? All these worlds are in the same place. They are, as a poet has said, as the human heart. If once expanded, it becomes larger than all heavens. Therefore, the deep thinkers of all ages have taken one principle for awakening to life, and that principle is emptying the self. In other words, making oneself an accommodation, clearer and fuller, in order to accommodate all experiences more clearly and more fully, with all the tragedy of life, all sorrows and pains of life being mostly on the surface of the life in the world. If one was fully awake to life, if one could respond to life, if one could perceive life, one does not need to look for wonder, does not need to communicate with spirit. For every atom in this world is a wonder to such a person who sees with open eyes. Now, coming to the question of those who dive deep into life and who touch the depth within, what is their experience? For this, there is a verse in Persian. Hafiz has said, "It is not yet known how far is my destination, but only so much as I know that music from afar is coming to my ears." The music of the spheres, according to the point of view of the mystic, is like the lighthouse in the port that one sees in the sea, which promises one is coming nearer to the destination. Now you may say, what music may this be? If there was not harmony in the essence of life, the life would not have created harmony in this life of variety, and humans would not have longed for something which was not in their spirit. And all in this world which seems lacking harmony is in reality the limitation of one's own vision. The wider the horizon of one's observation becomes, the more harmony of life one enjoys. Therefore, in the very depth of one's being, the harmony of the working of the whole universe sums up in a perfect music. Therefore, the music which is the source of the creation, music which is found towards the goal of creation, is the music of the spheres, and is heard and enjoyed by those who touch that very depth of their own lives.